The sun dipped low over Lagos, bathing the city in a golden glow. Cars honked, pedestrians wove through the streets, and the distant sound of Afrobeat music pulsed through the evening air. High above the chaos, on the top floor of Chinedu Group International Headquarters, Chinedu Okafor sat alone in his expansive office. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the dazzling skyline, but tonight the city's beauty did little to soothe him. He swirled the whiskey in his glass, the amber liquid catching the light. His brow was furrowed, his thoughts heavy. At just 34, Chinedu had everything: power, wealth, influence. His company spanned multiple industries. His name carried weight across Africa, and his face was on magazine covers. But for all his success, he had one problem: finding a good woman to marry. Women chased him relentlessly, sending expensive gifts, arranging coincidental meetings, taking interest in his business ventures. He saw through their schemes. They weren't interested in him, only his last name, his lifestyle, his wealth. He exhaled sharply. Why does it feel like I have everything, yet nothing at all? A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he said. The heavy mahogany door swung open, revealing Mama Ada, his mother. She stepped inside, her traditional wrapper neatly tied, her girdle sitting high like a queen's crown. Though age had touched her features, her posture was regal, her presence commanding. She walked slowly toward him, lowering herself into the chair across from his desk. For a long moment, she simply watched him. Then with quiet wisdom she spoke. "My son, why do you look troubled? With all your wealth, what could possibly be worrying you?" Chinedu let out a bitter chuckle, setting his whiskey down. "Mama, you wouldn't understand." Her sharp eyes narrowed. "Try me." He hesitated, then leaned forward, rubbing his hands together. "It's these women. I don't know who to trust. Every single one I meet. They all pretend. They act like they love me, but it's always about what I can offer them. The moment I show interest, they start planning how to be Mrs. Okafor, not how to be my wife." Mama Ada nodded slowly, absorbing his words. "And so you believe that because you are wealthy, you will never find true love?" Chinedu exhaled. "I don't know, maybe." For a long moment, Mama Ada was silent. Then she leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "My son, a good woman is not known by how she treats the rich, but by how she treats the poor." Chinedu frowned, confused. "What do you mean, Mama?" She smiled knowingly. "Let me work in your company as a cleaner." His eyes widened. "What? Mama, that's ridiculous. You want to be a cleaner? In my own company?" "Yes," she said simply. "Mama, do you hear yourself? You are a respected woman. You have never done such work before." She held up a hand, silencing him. "If you truly want a wife with a kind heart, let me do this. Let me see these women when they think no one is watching. How they treat me, as a poor old woman, will tell us everything we need to know." Chinedu hesitated. The idea was absurd, unconventional, but deep down he knew his mother was right. After a long pause, he sighed. "Fine, but promise me, if it gets too hard, you'll stop." Mama Ada smiled. "Then let the test begin. The billionaire's mother becomes a cleaner." That Monday morning, Mama Ada arrived at Chinedu Group International, not as the billionaire's mother, but as a humble cleaner. Gone was her fine wrapper and regal demeanor. She wore a faded blouse, an old wrapper, and worn-out slippers. A scarf covered her fine hair, and she carried a mop and bucket. Her proud back was now slightly hunched, her elegant hands now rough from scrubbing. She walked into the building unnoticed. The cleaning supervisor, Mr. Sola, stood before the employees, clearing his throat. "Everyone, this is Mama Joy, the new cleaner. Treat her well." There was little reaction. The executives barely glanced at her. The secretaries whispered among themselves. The junior staff continued with their work. Nobody suspected that the old woman with a mop was the mother of the CEO himself. And so the test began. Amanda, the arrogant beauty. Amanda was the head of public relations and one of the most glamorous women in the company. Tall, caramel-skinned, and always draped in designer outfits. She exuded confidence, but also arrogance. The moment she saw Mama Ada in the office hallways, she wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Why do they keep hiring these dirty old women? She smells like the village," she whispered to her assistant, laughing. One afternoon, she deliberately spilled her cappuccino on the office floor. With a smug expression, she snapped her fingers. "Cleaner, come here! Clean this up, on your knees." Mama Ada bent down, quietly wiping the mess. Amanda crossed her legs and sipped a fresh cup of coffee as she smirked. "Some people were just born to serve," she said dismissively. Mama Ada said nothing, but she made a mental note of Amanda's cruelty. Nah, 2. Funmi, the jealous one. Funmi, Amanda's best friend, was filled with envy. She couldn't stand seeing other women get attention from Chinedu. One afternoon, she saw Mama Ada resting in a corner after scrubbing the restroom floors. "Are we paying you to rest?" she snapped. Before Mama Ada could respond, Funmi kicked over the mop bucket. Dirty water splashed everywhere. "Clean that too," she sneered, walking away without a second glance. Mama Ada calmly picked up the bucket. She had seen many people like Funmi, women, who thrived on making others feel small to make themselves feel powerful. "One day, my daughter," she murmured, "you will understand that true power is in kindness, not cruelty." Linda, the gold digger. Linda, an executive assistant, only cared about money. Her dream was to be a billionaire's wife, not because of love, but because of luxury. One afternoon, she walked into the staff cafeteria and saw Mama Ada eating a simple meal of plain rice and stew. She laughed loudly, drawing attention.
"Ha ha ha! Look at this cleaner!"
Eating like a beggar. "Do you even know what steak tastes like?" She shook her head in mock pity. "I could never live like this." Mama Ada simply smiled. The richest meal is not measured by the price, but by the love that prepares it. Linda rolled her eyes. "Whatever, old woman." Ngozi, the entitled one. Ngozi, a senior HR executive, believed she deserved the best simply because of who she was. She thought any man would be lucky to have her, and that Chinedu should be grateful if she agreed to marry him. One morning she stormed into the restroom furious. "Where is that useless cleaner?" she demanded. Mama Ada appeared, mop in hand. "Do you know how important I am in this company? My heels cost more than your entire salary," Ngozi boasted. Mama Ada simply bowed her head and continued working. Ngozi scoffed. "Clean faster, old woman. I don't have all day." That day, Mama Ada made another note. BC, the gossip. BC worked in the finance department and was known for her love of gossip. She had no real interest in Chinedu, but she wanted the prestige of being seen with him. One day, she saw Mama Ada carrying a heavy bucket down the hall. Instead of helping, she leaned in to whisper to a colleague. "Did you see that cleaner? She's so slow. If I were in charge, I'd fire her." Her friend giggled. "Maybe she's just old and tired." "Old people shouldn't be working. She's probably here to beg for money," Bissy added with a smirk. Mama Ada overheard every word. She sighed. "A wise woman builds others up, but a foolish woman tears them down." Bissy continued laughing, unaware she was being tested. Yuwande, the fake humble one. Yuwande appeared sweet and kind, but only when people were watching. In reality, she only did nice things when it benefited her. One afternoon, she saw Mama Ada struggling with a large trash bag. At first, she hesitated. Then, noticing some employees watching, she rushed over with a smile. "Oh, Mama Joy, let me help you." She lifted the bag with exaggerated effort, looking around to make sure people saw her. As soon as the others walked away, she dropped the bag and muttered, "I'm not a servant." She dusted her hands dramatically and walked off. Mama Ada smiled sadly. She had seen many like Yuwande, people who wore kindness like a costume. Tolu, the status seeker. Tolu worked in marketing and was obsessed with social class. She only associated with the rich and powerful, treating anyone beneath her like they were invisible. One evening, she arrived at work late and saw Mama Ada near the entrance. "Move out of my way," she said impatiently. Mama Ada stepped aside, but Tolu wasn't satisfied. "You cleaners should know your place," she muttered as she walked past. That small moment told Mama Ada everything she needed to know. Stella, the rude one. Stella was just plain rude. She had no manners and treated everyone with harshness. "Cleaner, bring me water," she barked one day. Mama Ada calmly brought a glass. Stella sipped it and made a face. "What kind of useless water is this?" "Do it again." Mama Ada nodded and walked away. Some people, she knew, would only learn kindness when they had no choice. As the test continued, one woman stood out, Adaora. Unlike the others, Adaora was kind even when no one was watching. She helped Mama Ada carry heavy buckets. She shared her lunch when she noticed the old cleaner eating alone. She never mocked, never belittled, never treated anyone as less than human. And so, when the truth was revealed, Chinedu made his choice. Idara was the woman he would give his heart to. The grand reveal. The grand conference hall of Chinedu. Group International was silent, so silent that the ticking of the antique grandfather clock against the wall seemed deafening. The company's top executives, managers, and key employees were seated at the long, polished mahogany table, unaware of what was about to unfold. The only thing they knew was that Chinedu Okafor, their billionaire CEO, had called an emergency meeting. At the head of the table sat Chinedu, his face unreadable, his fingers steepled beneath his chin. He exuded power in his dark, tailored suit, but his gaze was sharp with disappointment. And beside him, a woman, not just any woman, the cleaner, or at least that's what everyone had believed. But today, she looked nothing like the hunched, weary woman who had mopped their floors. Today she was a queen. Mama Ada sat regally in an expensive lace gown, the kind reserved for women of high status. Her golden gila was wrapped high, her jewelry shimmering under the bright chandelier. Her once calloused hands were now adorned with fine gold bangles. Her eyes, sharp and wise, scanned the room slowly, watching as confusion turned into horror. The women who had failed her test stiffened in their seats. Amanda, the arrogant PR executive, sat frozen, her carefully made-up face pale. Thonmi, her best friend, gripped the table edge, her nails digging into the polished wood. Linda, the materialistic assistant, pressed a trembling hand to her chest, as though trying to steady her pounding heart. The room was thick with tension. Chinedu finally broke the silence. "Good afternoon, everyone." His voice was calm, yet each word carried weight. "I'm sure you're all wondering why you're here." He leaned forward, his gaze settling on the women who had failed. "Before I continue, allow me to introduce someone to you. Properly." He gestured to Mama Ada. "This is my mother, Mrs. Ada Okafor." Gasps echoed through the room. Mouths fell open. Eyes widened in disbelief. Amanda's breath hitched. "What?" she whispered, gripping the arms of her chair. Funmi shook her head rapidly. No, that can't be right. She's just a cleaner." Linda's lips trembled. "This is some kind of joke, right?" Mama Ada smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "No, my dear, the joke was on all of you." A chilling silence fell. Mama Ada continued, her voice smooth but sharp. "For the past month I have been here. Not as Chinedu's mother, not as a woman of wealth, but as a mere cleaner." "Mama Joy, you called me?" Amanda let out a shaky breath, already sensing what was coming next. "And in that time," Mama Ada went on, "I have witnessed the true nature of many of you. Not the smiles you show my son, not the well-rehearsed charm, but who you are when you think no one of importance is watching." Amanda clenched her jaw. Linda shifted in her seat, her pulse racing. Funmi swallowed hard. Chinedu's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Amanda," he said, turning his intense gaze toward her. She jumped, her breath coming faster. "Tell me, do you remember the day you spilled your coffee on the floor and forced the cleaner to wipe it on her knees while you watched?" Amanda's face turned a deep shade of red. Do you?" he pressed. Her lips quivered. "Yes. But I didn't know she was—" "Ah," Mama Ada raised a brow. "So if I had truly been poor, you would have seen nothing wrong with it." Amanda opened her mouth, but no words came out. Chinedu turned next to Funmi. "And you, Funmi?" His voice was steel. "Do you recall kicking over the bucket of water after my mother had scrubbed the floors, telling her that she was being paid to work, not to rest?" Funmi's hands trembled in her lap. I was just joking." Mama Ada let out a soft chuckle, but there was no amusement in it. "Tell me, my dear, was it funny?" Funmi swallowed thickly, her eyes darting around the room, searching for an escape. Chinedu's gaze darkened as he turned to Linda. "And you, Linda, the day you mocked her for eating plain rice in the cafeteria, laughing that she could never afford steak. Do you remember? Linda's face was ghostly white. Chinedu, please. Please what? He snapped, his patience gone. Please forget that you humiliated an old woman because you thought she was beneath you. A heavy silence filled the room. None of them had answers, because the truth was ugly, and now they were exposed. Amanda covered her face with her hands. Funmi wiped at her tears. Linda looked like she might faint. The other employees shifted uncomfortably. They had all seen the way these women treated the cleaner, but they never imagined she was the mother of the CEO. But while the guilty ones drowned in their shame, one woman sat quietly, unaware that her moment was coming. Chinedu's expression softened as he turned to Adaura. She blinked in confusion. Sir? Chinedu stood. His gaze on her was different, gentler, admiring. Adaura, you were different. The entire room turned to look at her. Her heart pounded. Unlike the others, you never looked down on my mother, Chinedu said. You didn't know who she was, yet you treated her with kindness. Mama Ada smiled warmly. My dear, you helped me carry a heavy bucket when you saw me struggling. You sat with me at lunch when no one else did. You even brought me food when you thought I had none. Adaura's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I just treated you the way I would want to be treated. Mama Ada reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. And that, my dear, is what makes you special. Chinedu's next words made Amanda and the others nearly collapse. Adaura, I've been searching for a woman with a kind heart, a woman who sees beyond wealth and status. And now I realize I've found her. A gasp rippled through the room. Adaura's lips parted. Sir, you mean... Chinedu smiled, stepping closer. Yes, Adaura, if you'll allow me. I would like to know you, not just as an employee, but as a woman. The woman who has won not just this test, but my heart. Tears spilled down Adaura's cheeks. I don't know what to say. Mama Ada beamed. Say yes, my dear. Amanda, Funmi, and Linda watched in devastation as the man they had desperately chased turned to the one woman who never sought his wealth, only kindness, and with joyful tears in her eyes, Adaura whispered the only answer that mattered, yes. Lesson of the story. This story teaches a powerful lesson. A good woman is not known by how she treats the rich, but by how she treats the poor. True character is revealed in how we treat those who have nothing to offer us. Beauty, wealth, and status mean nothing if a person lacks kindness, humility, and compassion. In the end, it wasn't money, looks, or status that made Adaura the right choice. It was her heart. Because in a world that values appearances, the real test of character is found in the moments no one is watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more inspiring lessons about life, love, and success, don't forget to like this video to show your support. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and life lessons. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Comment below, what did you learn from this story? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, kindness always wins. See you in the next video.